Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 5th of May, now it's 11:30, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update today, in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit late in the afternoon on my Patreon page. If you are interested, you can see link under this video in the description box. That's been said, let's talk about news now. And by the way, unfortunately, yesterday I was unable to make a second update for Patreon because I had guests and I couldn't manage that. But I will definitely make second update today and every day whenever I make update for main channel here on YouTube. So that's been said, let's talk about news, and this is Renovo's report, according to which storming groups of PMC Wagner did manage to establish control over the two more blocks inside the Bakhmut. Artyomovsk, as you know, this town has these two names. And when it comes to town itself, if we take a look on the map, these white dots are approximate line of contact between the sides. And as you can see, Russian forces are trying to, PMC Wagner units are trying to encircle these high-rise buildings, these blocks with these high-rise buildings in the southwest part of the small pocket that's still under control of Bakhmut garrison. It will definitely take some time because it's not easy to move, as I understand, through these high-rise buildings, but lately, last day or two, I get impression that PMC Wagner units did slow down a little bit their offensive operations, and if I'm not mistaken, then in my opinion, this may have something to do with yet another wave of confrontation between leadership of PMC Wagner and leadership of Russian Defense Ministry. Yesterday, for example, head of PMC Wagner, Yevgeny Prigozhin, did made video statement, quite strong. He did choose quite strong words during this video, and unfortunately, I cannot share footage on here on YouTube or even on my Telegram channel because he was standing next to killed fighters of PMC Wagner, and the footage itself is quite graphic. But he did mention high-ranking officials with some strong words, and he also mentioned head of Russian Defense Ministry Shoigu and head of Russian General Staff Gerasimov. Seems like he is not really happy with relationships between PMC Wagner and the Defense Ministry of Russian Federation. And if before I was thinking that this confrontation may be part of some disinformation campaign, after yesterday's videos, I'm starting to believe that confrontation is real, and if that's the case, then probably it will not take long before Vladimir Putin, president of Russian Federation, will replace Shoigu and Gerasimov, because he did make statements quite a few times before about necessity, how important it is everyone to work together to make sure that system is working properly and there is no misunderstandings or confrontations between the sides. He did not ever mention leadership of Defense Ministry or leadership of PMC Wagner, but majority did read his statements this way, that he was talking about this conflict between the sides. And because I think Prigozhin, and this is my personal opinion, because I think Prigozhin is much closer when it comes to personal relationships with Putin than Gerasimov or even Shoigu. I think eventually Putin will be forced, even if he don't want to, probably he will be forced to replace Shoigu, Gerasimov, and their deputies, majority of their deputies. Some movement in defense ministry has already begun, and just recently, one deputy of Shoigu was removed from his position. There were some other changes also, and this will probably continue. But yet again, this is my guess. To be honest, I never understood why Shoigu was even appointed as defense minister in the first place. So if Putin will remove this individual from defense ministry, I will have no problem with it whatsoever. And same I can say about Gerasimov, because in my personal opinion, yet again, if Gerasimov had any dignity, he will resign after first month of special military operation. But as I understand, Gerasimov and dignity, it's two different worlds whatsoever. And if it was up to me, I know what I will do with these people and their deputies. And I'm not going to say it, of course, but I have some questions, truly, especially about the ties with corruption and all that stuff. But yet again, it's up to Putin to decide, to make decision, and I believe in fairly short amount of time, this issue of relationship between PMC, Wagner, and Defense Ministry will be resolved by replacement of Shoigu, Gerasimov, and all the others that have anything to do with these two persons, their deputies, first of all. Let me continue now, and this is Renovo's report, also according to which Russian Air Force did manage to strike base of foreign instructors in Chernigov region of Ukraine. Unfortunately, we don't have exact information about possible casualties among these foreign instructors and mercenaries, but maybe we will learn something later on, and I will share all additional information on my Telegram channel and also, of course, on in my second update on the Patreon. Let me continue, and this is TASS News Agency's report, according to which oil refinery in Ilsk, which is Krasnodar region, as I understand, was hit again. There are different reports. According to some reports, this oil refinery was hit with drones, like yesterday. And this is happening 2 days in a row. So this refinery was hit yesterday, and it was targeted today also. And some reports are saying that it was some sabotage group that did place some explosives inside the refinery and detonate them. Hard to tell, really, but according to some reports, these saboteurs, at least a few of them, were detained. But yet again, man, we should take with pinch of salt just all the news that are coming nowadays from anyone's side, because it's truly becoming very difficult to understand what is really going on and which information is more or less accurate. So that's my recommendation, that all the news should be from every side should be received with pinch of salt. Let me continue. This is TASS News Agency's report, according to which official from Zaporozhye region, Vladimir Rogov, stated that there are tens of thousands of Ukrainian military personnel accumulated in Zaporozhye region. To be honest, no surprises here, because if we take a look at the map, this is Zaporozhye region, and I was saying quite a few times in the past updates that According to my analysis of information from open sources, Zelensky's regime has about from 50 to 70, maybe 80,000 military personnel in Kherson region and in Zaporozhye region. This concentration of forces are not enough, yet again, in my reading of big picture. These are not enough to conduct any large-scale, truly large-scale counteroffensive, especially successful one. And as we understand, the main goal of Zelensky's regime is to cut this, and the Western masters are to cut this land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia. But yet again, they don't have enough manpower to conduct large-scale successful operations. But 70, let's say 50 to 75,000 military personnel, maybe 80 is enough to conduct some local-scale offensive operations, which will be enough for Zelensky to show his masters in Washington and London that he is doing something. And he will sacrifice these thousands and thousands of Ukrainian soldiers, no doubt about it. He will, even though I'm quite sure militaries, high-ranking militaries of Zelensky's regime are very well aware that any offensive operations that they will conduct will fail. Zelensky will anyway sacrifice Ukrainian soldiers, and he will order to conduct offensive operations just to save for himself a few more months in office and just to show his Western masters that he is doing something. So truly no surprises in that regard. Let me continue. This is quite interesting news. TASS news agency is reporting that representative aide of head of Rosenergoatom, Rinat Karcha, said that because of some issues with the high rise of level of water in the Dnieper and some issues with the dams, there are some danger that some settlements around Zaporozhye nuclear power plant and even Zaporozhye nuclear power plant itself may be flooded if issue is not resolved. And he was saying that it's 15 to 18,000 civilians that are living in this area, and maybe it will be necessary to evacuate these people. And when I heard word evacuate, I did not, absolutely did not. It reminded me something else. Evacuation from Kherson region, evacuation from Kharkov region, and that's why I think this information may be interesting, because as I said, I never before did read any information that was about possible evacuation of civilians from anywhere on this land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia. It's quite possible that Russian side has some intelligence that Zelensky's regime will definitely conduct amphibious operation to establish control over the Energodar, and maybe under pretext of risk of flooding, maybe Russian side is just trying to evacuate civilians and just minimize casualties among them, maybe. And if, of course, if intelligence has information that Zelensky's regime will 100% will definitely conduct amphibious operation, large-scale amphibious operation to establish control over the Energodar and Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, there will be some fierce fighting, of course, all along this bank here. And of course, civilians, in that case, civilians should be evacuated under any pretext, really. Under any pretext, but civilians should be evacuated. And in this instance, I definitely have no criticism, because After all, entire this conflict was started by Russian side when it comes to special military operation to protect civilians, from Zelensky's Nazi regime. So of course, if there is any danger, then civilians should be evacuated. But to be honest, I share this information with you because I don't really believe that there is truly massive danger of flooding. But I'm quite sure Zelensky's regime will try to conduct some amphibious operation to establish control over the not just Energodar, Zaporozhye nuclear power plant and this coastline here, but also over the Novaya Kakhovka here, to establish control over this dam. I did spoke about these possibilities quite a few times now in previous updates, and no need to continue. And this is RIA Novosti's report, according to which head of Russian Foreign Ministry, Sergei Lavrov, made a statement. He was asked if drone strike on Kremlin is casus belli to declare war. And Lavrov says that Russia will answer on this strike with actions, with real steps, not by discussions. It was casus belli or it was not. Quite diplomatic way, let's say, to avoid direct answer, because as I understand, the Moscow, and as I said straight away, man, in my opinion, Moscow will not react emotionally on this strike on Kremlin, and to be honest, I don't think Moscow even will conduct strikes on the decision-making centers of Ukraine. Even though Zelensky is hiding somewhere in Europe, the last few days, he can probably return to Kiev and he will be safe, because, as I said, I don't think Moscow will strike not just presidential residency of Zelensky, but I don't think Moscow will even strike any other decision-making centers of that regime there. I'm not, I don't really have enough information to judge if that approach is correct or not. I do understand that many of you are expecting some massive strikes from Russian side, and many of you do ask questions in comment sections why Moscow is so soft, man. What else gonna do Zelensky's regime so that Moscow will start acting as it's supposed to against these decision-making centers of Ukraine? But yet again, man, we know just what we know, and Putin and his inner circle, decision-making inner circle, I mean, they know much more than we do, isn't it? And that's why sometimes, for me, for example, it's hard to understand some decisions that they are making, but same time, I do realize that they just know better, because they have all this classified information that we don't. So it's always easy to criticize, but I mean, we should always still remember that there should be some reasoning behind the Moscow's policies. You can call it soft approach towards Zelensky and his henchmen, and it is soft, really, in my opinion also, but probably Putin and his government do have reasoning for this. I don't know, man. It's not up to me, so please don't attack me for this. I have nothing to do with it. If it was up to me, I will take out entire leadership of political and military leadership of Nazi Ukraine in the very first hour. In the very first hour, they all will be on their way to God to explain themselves. That's what I will do, but yet again, it's not up to me, isn't it? And I have no sympathies towards Nazis, man, no way. So I hope all Nazis and all those mass murderers will be exterminated. You know, and probably all of us have the same position in this regard. There can be no mercy towards those mass murderers, but yet again, decisions are made by other people, not by us. And, we can only comment, really, and analyze what is happening. Let me continue now, and this is TASS News Agency's report. How long is this video? 20 minutes, okay. So this is TASS News Agency's report, according to which Ryabkov, head of Russian Foreign Ministry, Sergei Ryabkov did made a statement according to which relationships between Russia and the USA are on the brink of open military conflict. Very strong statement, yet again, very strong statement, and let's hope that this last step towards direct confrontation will not be made by any one side, because in that case, world that we know will be over. We all understand that US is a main military power in this world, no questions about it, but Russia do have enough nuclear weapons to take care of any hostile state, really, if it decides to use those nukes. And let's hope yet again that this last step towards direct confrontation between Russia and US will not be made. Of course, this statement was said in regards of this drone strike on Kremlin. Everyone do understands that Zelensky's regime, or Budanov, this mass murderer that are in charge, as I understand, of terror strikes of Ukraine, they will never act like this without green light from Washington. Yes, US officials can deny it as much as they like, but we all understand that there is no way such a terror attack will be done by Zelensky's Nazi regime without green light from Washington. So of course, in every sense, this strike was casus belli, definitely. But Moscow should act carefully, because let's say strike on Nord Stream also was casus belli, isn't it? And we all know that it was US that conduct that act of international terrorism. And there are many other instances that can be interpreted as casus belli, but yet again, let's hope Moscow will somehow manage to avoid direct confrontation with US or NATO, because it will eventually finish with nuclear exchange between the sides, and then this world is done. So we don't really need this, isn't it? Because we all see that US elites, European elites, they are crazy as hell, man. They don't really think about future of humanity. They don't really think about or care about their own citizens in US and in Europe, and they can act recklessly, and they are acting like crazy, really, on international stage. But I mean, that's not reason for us to act in the same way, because in that case we will definitely end up in nuclear apocalypse. And I don't think anyone in his good mind wants to see anything like that. So as I'm saying, as I said many times, man, I'm quite critical when I see reasoning good reasoning for my critique, but I'm trying to, understand better before I start making some super aggressive statements, because yet again, man, it's a huge responsibility. It's a huge responsibility, and even one step may be enough to provoke nuclear exchange between the sides. We are in such a difficult positions right now, and because Western elites are acting like they are truly mad, and maybe they are really, I don't know. Then it's up to Moscow, up to other leading countries in this world, and to lead this world somehow out of direct nuclear exchange. That's it. Let me continue, and this is TASS News Agency's report, which is based on article in Global Times. As I understand, Global Times, this Chinese newspaper, is affiliated with Foreign Ministry of China, and we have in this paper article, according to which Kiev, by this drone strike on Kremlin, did breach red line. Of course they did. But this news is interesting because it's Global Times affiliated with China. So I believe whatever retaliatory measures Russia will take now, Beijing probably will support Moscow. And indirectly, they already said it with help of this Global Times article. That's why it's important in my understanding. And of course, I mean, who gonna argue with Global Times assessment that assumption, whatever it is? Who gonna argue with Global Times that Zelensky's regime did cross all the red lines that there was? I mean, let me continue. RIA Novosti's report, according to which during the meeting between leaders of foreign ministries of Russia and China, Chinese side, head of Chinese foreign ministry Qin Gang said to Lavrov that China is ready to play its positive role in to de-escalate this conflict in Ukraine, and yes, usual diplomatic stuff. China is ready to assist with the diplomatic resolve. This conflict to be resolved diplomatically by diplomatic means, but yet again, before Washington and London will not say to regime in Kiev, it's time to talk peace. Before that, any attempts from Russia, China, India, Brazil, South Africa, or any other country to somehow bring sides to the negotiation table, it will fail. Keys for peace is in Washington. We all know this, so but it's it's a good gesture from China that they are ready to participate in any way possible to resolve this conflict peacefully, but it not really depends on Beijing, does it? This is TASS News Agency's report, according to which, and this news bulletin is based on article in Bloomberg, according to which EU leadership now actively discussing sanctions against countries that are supporting Russia or helping Russia to avoid sanctions. Of course, we are talking about these alternative import routes that Russia is establishing to receive all the necessary goods that Russia needs, but are under EU sanctions. And as I understand, in next sanctions package of EU, I don't know which number that will be, 12, 13, 14, 15, they will probably sanction some Russian neighboring countries also. Let them do it, man. I don't think it will really influence anything, other than these countries will finally realize that Western elites are not their friends. And Georgia is already realizing this, for example, because they see clearly that Western elites were trying to sacrifice Georgia for the geopolitical goals. They clearly see it. And recently I had some talks with people that are more or less informed about the situation in Georgia. Of course, I'm trying to read information about Georgia and what is going on there, but it's better when you are talking to someone that are there in Georgia. And I did receive information that society is very anti-US because of US support of Saakashvili and his henchmen and US attempts to destabilize country. And because of this ambassador, US ambassador, I mean, she's Kelly Dignan, or somehow that's name of US ambassador. She's acting like she's emperor or representative of emperor in Georgia. She does make some crazy statements, man. It's unbelievable what is happening. And society, because of it, are extremely anti-US now. Maybe I'm not gonna say majority or vast majority, but many people are fed up with this involvement of US in internal politics of Georgia. And if EU now sanctions Georgia, for example, as one of the countries that did not impose sanctions on Russia, let's say, then society in Georgia will realize also that not just US elites, but also EU elites are not our friends. They should already realize this, but with this kind of actions from EU, they are, they are basically pushing societies in other countries from them. They are forcing societies to stay away from EU. And I'm not quite sure that this is in best interest of EU countries or citizens of EU. But yet again, man, when EU officials did care about European countries or citizens of European countries? Never. Let me continue, and this is quite interesting information. Also, Renovo is reporting that head of Moldavian Parliament of Moldova, made quite Russophobic statements when it comes to Gagauzia region of Moldova. Gagauzia and Gagauz people, they are only Turkish language people that are Orthodox Christians, and they have close ties and good relationships with Russia, with the Russian culture, and many of them consider themselves as a part of Russian world, Russian-speaking world. And this idiot, this speaker of Moldavian Parliament, what is his name, man? Vosia Basara, what? Igor Grosu, da. Igor Grosu, this idiot, during the interview on one of the TV channels, Vosia Besarabia said that Moldova should do everything possible. Basically, I'm interpreting now, to make sure that it's a Romanian language that is popular among Gagauz people, not Russian. and he thinks Russian language should be forced out from Gagauzia. And you know what? If in a month, 2 months, 5 months, or years time, or 2 years time, Gagauz people will say, you know what, Moldova, you go your way, we go our way. Then who will be to blame? That's how conflicts are created, when these kind of animals, like this criminal head of parliament of Moldova, when these kind of criminal elements are forcing people to do, when they are imposing their will on people, and they are telling people what language they should speak and when, that's how conflicts are created. And this dumb idiot, I mean, if he was a little bit clever, he will see what happened in Ukraine, but I mean, he's dumb, obviously. And that's why he's probably head of Moldovan parliament, because Western elites need this kind of stupid animals, because they are easy to, to be manipulated. And that's how this conflict will, be created. And I'm quite sure in the future, not far future, we will see that Gagauz people will say that they want independence from Moldova. Just remember, man. Just remember my words. This will happen, because I believe Gagauz people had enough of these crazy idiots in Moldovan government, man. If I was Gagauz, there I will say, you know what? Just stay away from us, man. It's not up to you what and how I'm gonna do, man. And that's it. And a few more informations, but this information is important because after conflict will start, then Western elites, they do what? They are saying that, I mean, it's Russian speakers, it's Russians, but no, in reality, that's how conflicts are provoked. These criminal individuals, for that kind of action, man, in Russia, you will end up in jail. Because you are promoting conflict, ethnical conflict, and conflict based on differences in society. In Russia, you will go to jail for that kind of actions, but this is Moldova, man. It's okay for them, at least for now, it seems like, and that's how conflict will be created. And I believe at some point, Gagauz people will say, you know what, just stay away from us. And they will have every right to do so, man. Every right. Like in eastern Ukraine, citizens there had every right to say to these Nazi criminals in Kiev to stay away from them. That's it. This is RIA Novosti's report, according to which there are some negotiations now around grain deal, according to which Russian Rossельхозbank may become a part of SWIFT again, so that there will be possible some payments for Russian goods that will be exported through this grain deal. Yet again, I did say many times before that this grain deal is not really popular in Russia. It's not really popular among ordinary citizens of Europe, especially Eastern Europe and farmers of Eastern Europe. But yet again, I think Moscow will prolong this deal anyway. I don't know why, but Moscow will probably prolong it, even if this Rossельхозbank will not be reconnected to SWIFT, and even if this grain deal will not fulfill its obligations towards Russian side, like it never did. And Moscow is openly saying that this part of grain deal, which was about Russian goods that supposed to be exported, this part did not work ever. And that's why people not really understand why Moscow is prolonging this deal then. when there were some also statements from Russian Defense Ministry, for example, that not UK, but Ukraine did use grain deal and shipping to receive some weaponry and to receive even some nuclear materials. And why Moscow is prolonging this deal, then I don't know, man. But Moscow will prolong. Just look at it, man. There will be strong statements, but Moscow will anyway prolong this deal, man. And some may say that's because West will use to harm Russian reputation if Russia will not prolong. But no, man, West cannot do this because Moscow already said that if grain deal will not be prolonged, then Moscow will deliver goods that are necessary to countries in need for free. So West will not be able to use this topic against Russia. But as I said, man, who knows what informations they have there in Kremlin, and on what information their decisions are based on. Because, as I said, time to time, I truly don't understand what they are doing. But, probably you either. And this is going to be last news for this update, according to which head of Russian Ministry of Economical Development, Maxim Reshetnikov, said that in 2023, Russian economy will be among leaders of countries with best economical results. Very optimistic statement. This person and Ministry of Economical Development is very optimistic lately. Russian Central Bank is not so optimistic, and to be honest, I do trust Russian Central Bank a little bit more. But if this person, Maxim Reshetnikov, is correct, and if Russia will be among leaders when it comes to economical growth, I will applaud. Great news. But anyway, this news is interesting because it shows some level of some level of confidence among Russian officials when it comes to economy, and it's good. It's good because they should know better. So if they are optimistic, then we have some reasons to be optimistic also, probably. This is it for now. I hope you will find this video interesting, and if so, please hit that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like. I'm trying to be active in comment sections and react on as many comments as I possibly can. I just cannot stay next to notebook all the time. And if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. Let's reach 10,000 level of 10,000 subscribers before end of this month, if it's possible. Maybe you notice it that I'm not commenting on other channels no more, not promoting my channel, and it's noticeable. It's really noticeable. Our channel almost stopped its growth. So if you will help me reach wide audience, of course I will be very grateful for it. Maybe I will restart commenting on other channels, and once we will reach 10,000 level, then I will stop commenting on other channels. In that case, I don't know. And by the way, if you think this channel is interesting, has some potential and deserves to exist, then please consider to support with small donations through PayPal or buy me a coffee or by subscribing to my Patreon page. Of course, I will be very grateful for your help and attention. This is it for now. Have a nice day and take care.